I don't want to set the bar too high for you, but I just want to say like expectations right now of you on this podcast are extremely high because anytime I've ever asked anyone at Real Madrid what it was like working during that time, they come back with the craziest stories. So I'm expecting some crazy stories, Alison. Um, why don't you maybe just walk us through what's like the day-to-day grind of just waking up every day, working for Real Madrid during that time?
Yeah, I mean, I was so lucky because I joined at a time when Florentino Perez, which seems to be a bit of a dirty word at the moment, he really wanted the club channel to be massive. And he poured a lot of money and a lot of effort into the club channel. And so what he did was he decided to launch an English version of the Spanish channel that already existed. So I was hired to set up that channel. I'd already been working in production, so I was used to producing shows, TV shows. And I went over to Madrid with a blank slate, and they basically threw a lot of money at it. So they said that we were able to travel with the players. So we got on the same plane as the players. We stayed in the same hotel. We had complete access to all the players. We were able to interview them every single day. We went to every single training session, every single press conference. We were down at Valdebebas. I was there when Real Madrid City launched, so I did the official unveiling, which, I mean, this, was light years ahead of any other stadium I'd ever seen, or training facility, I should say. So it really, it was just such an amazing time. And as you say, I was there. Ronaldo was there, but the original Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo. Raul, of course, he was absolutely banging in the goals for the Champions League. Zidane was such an amazing player to watch. And Beckham. I had Roberto Carlos there. And then all the Brazilians came in actually while I was there. So we saw Julio Baptista and Cicinho and Robinho. So it really was a magical time. And, I saw it was just amazing. Some funny stories I could tell you. I was the unfortunate person who had to interview Jonathan Woodgate when he made his long-awaited debut, of course, and he scored an own goal and got sent off. And I remember thinking, I cannot believe I've got to do this. And I remember he was coming towards me in the mix zone, and I'm phrasing and rephrasing this question in my head because there'd been so much build-up and so much pressure on him. And I thought, how am I going to phrase this? And I kind of tried to make a bit of a joke out of it, not the debut you would have hoped for or something like that. But bless him, he was really good. He spoke to me for a long time and spoke about it at length. But situations like that were so difficult. But then, of course, there were some amazing memories as well. Like I was there for Zidane's last ever La Liga game. And I have to say, that was one of the most emotional moments of my career because the Bernabeu was this sea of white. It's white anyway, but everyone was holding up banners saying, Merci Zidane, I think. And so the whole stadium was just full of these banners. And he was so shy and humble that he was just walking on off the pitch. And David Beckham was like, no way are you getting away like that. So he dragged him back on the pitch. And you could see, I've taken some photos. I didn't take many photos back then because we didn't have camera phones. But I've got some photos and I've blown them up and it's on my wall actually, of him like shedding a tear and being interviewed by Real Madrid TV. And that was super emotional. It was like hairs on the back of your neck type stuff. And I'll never forget that moment. A lot of people remember the headbutt moment for Zidane, but for me, I'm so lucky that I have that moment as his final, and that was much more important, I think.
Yeah, that one always gets me. There's that special documentary, I'm sure you've seen it, where the camera just follows him throughout that entire game and nothing else. And the emotion,
Yeah.
his family crying in the stands and he's crying. And just to emphasize how important that moment is, Real Madrid legends they don't get that kind of send off. Like it's such a unique moment in Real Madrid history. Raul didn't get anything like that. Casillas didn't get anything like that. I'm not sure Ramos will get anything like that. Just the fact that he was able to retire on his terms in the game like that is so special. I want to ask you about the access. Was the access better then than it is now? I don't know the answer to that.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it is. And I'm often told that because when I was at the club, I employed Kay Murray, who I know a lot of your listeners will know, who's a very, very good friend of mine, an absolutely brilliant person. And she worked so hard at Real Madrid and she just did so much for that club. And we became very, very good friends. And we'd known each other before actually in London. And that's how I'd kind of got her involved. I knew how passionate she was about football, but I also knew her to be a very good writer and journalist. And I knew she'd be great there. But she actually told me that after I left and then she carried on, the access kind of waned and waned. And then people like Reshmin Chowdhury and Alex Aljo and lots of other friends and colleagues who work there, they tell me that I guess less money was thrown into it. I think things became a bit more restrictive. I guess managers came and went, and some managers were a bit more controlling. I'd imagine Jose Mourinho was that way, because I've worked with him a couple of times in England, and I know that he likes to have that kind of control. And I know he had a tough time at Real Madrid as well. I know he was very suspicious of leaked team sheets and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think the access definitely became worse. But I mean, I remember some of the most incredible moments where, you know, I'm sometimes reluctant to speak about these stories because I feel like it might be portrayed in the wrong way, but it felt like it was okay. I was invited to a party once at Ronaldo's house, the original Ronaldo. And it was a big family affair. All friends and family were there. It was like a dream, to be honest with you. I walked in there and Roberto Carlos was behind the bar and he said, "Can I mix you a cocktail?" So he was the mixologist behind the bar. Rubinho was teaching me how to salsa. Julio Baptista was drumming, and the Brazilians are just such a fun, happy bunch, and everyone was just having the time of their lives. And I remember just thinking, I don't think I can tell anyone this, because A, no one will believe me, and B, it just felt like it's something that I probably shouldn't have been doing. But we just won the King's Cup and it was a great celebration, and I'd always turned down these parties because I felt like it was a bit unprofessional, I suppose. And it was the only time I ever did that. But oh my goodness, was that a party. And just, it's funny because you go back into work and once again, you're very professional, and you're the reporter and they're the player, and that's the way that it was. But it was really nice that we were able to have those moments. And I'm just not sure whether you can do that these days, because people have mobile phones and you just don't have that kind of privacy. But we lived in the moment. There was no Instagram, no social media. And I think because of that, I think I had the most incredible time at the club.